I decided to write the book kind of two different reasons. One was that I noticed that people really were not familiar with that era, and at least in Hungary, and there was just a superficial knowledge. And I wanted to tell the history, but I wanted to tell it through my life. And I also wanted to understand why, even though I have left Hungary when I was 13, I am still so drawn that when I see a Hungarian name in the paper, my heart jumps a little. But at the same time, when I saw the Hungarian coat of arms tattooed on someone's leg in the gym, my heart jumped in a very different way, because that is the same coat of arms that Hungary had before communism, which in my experience was the Holocaust. So to me that reflected a danger. So I had this push and pull that I wanted to resolve in me. So that was my second reason to write a book. To understand. I think that having been born during the Holocaust, during a bombing, and then spending my first year in hiding and constant danger, I absorbed the danger and the atmosphere, the knowledge that the world is not a safe place. But then when my mother kept reliving it, then the nameless fear became what got images from my mother, who constantly repeated it and relived it, and so it, yeah, I don't know whether it's worse, but it's I think I had both. I feel like I have the memory in my bones, in the cells of my body. Life was never safe, either in the Holocaust or in the communist era. So it confirmed the feeling that I grew up with, that I was born with, that life is dangerous, that life is no good, that there's always something lurking to get me. And less so in the communist era, later, but until Stalin died, it was a reign of terror that eased during the last 4 years that I spent in Hungary. I can't quite put it to rest. If I read something in the paper about what's happening in the world, my reaction goes back to that childhood. And also, whenever I hold a baby, I try to tell that baby that the world is good and that the world is safe. I wanted history from my explained, presented from my personal experience, through my personal experience, because I really wanted to show what real life was under those conditions, which history books don't. History books talk about wars and so forth. But I also wanted people to understand a little bit of why that, what, the background of the experiences. So I put in short chapters of history, and even in those chapters I try to point to people's actual experiences, not to the dry history. Yes, I do think that history through real life captures more of the general audience. I think that it stays with people because people are interested in the human story. I think history books are for academics, which is not who I wanted to reach. The title came for one day when I was 60 and was struggling with this attraction, love-hate relationship that I had with Hungary. And I looked in the mirror and I literally saw stamped on my forehead, "Made in Hungary." And realizing that I really was, and I cannot escape it, and I will always have this love-hate relationship. I try to escape it. It's painful. If I could just lay down that that was my childhood. I have spent 45 years in this country, and I love this country. I love its ideals, its open-heartedness. So this is what I want to live, but I cannot somehow lay down the rest, the early childhood, my first experiences. I somehow feel that the first year of my life was more formative than the other 64. I left in 57 after the revolution because Hungary was still struggling with education, the availability of education to people. There were not enough facilities and not enough teachers, and so according to the communist credo, the children of the peasants, the children who have had no opportunities before, were the ones that were given priority in schools. Aside of the fact that we never knew how, when the next reign of terror will come. But our first motivation was my aunt really pushed my mother that we should try to emigrate so that I am assured an education. Both my parents, my family was very educated. My mother had a degree from Oxford University. She was teaching English. And so I had less chance. I could have waited 5-6 years before I could go to high school.